How's training been today, mate?
Hard as usual, tired. Always tired, lad, but good. Good.
Yeah. What was the session
Yourself?
on today?
All kinds, lad. Just morning striking, then grappling, then got back in for more grappling tonight, another 2 hours of grappling. Had to move a few sessions around this week, but it's all good. Ready for a big day tomorrow, though. So,
What you got planned for tomorrow,
got a sparring in the morning, then pad straight after, then S&C straight after that, and then I'm back in the night for jips again. So, fucking big day tomorrow. Big day.
Sounds ruthless. Like, who you sparring with?
Be Paddy the Baddie.
Yeah.
Paddy the Baddie will be the one who'll be sparring tomorrow. And Joe Ben Petches Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Petches Kelly will be getting in for a big spar.
Yeah.
Good lad, good rounds, hard rounds. On the beast,
like
obviously.
Matt Bonner,
the beast, him as well. Big kid. Lovely.
I feel like next gen's definitely like proper, like underrated at the minute. I think a lot of like young lads coming up as well. Like obviously like yourself, Nathan Fletcher, like Connor Wilson was another lad I was chatting to the other day. Like as well as like the people like Paddy, Molly McCann. There's obviously a lot of like good young lads coming through as well.
Yeah. But we had that like explosion, didn't we? In like 2016, where everyone was on us, and we had all like Vent, and that was dead active, and obviously Paddy and Molly and Fishy and all that. And then we've gone a bit quiet, haven't we? Like with Fishy being in the UFC, and only really Molly, and Paddy hasn't been too active, has he? And then people have half like slept on us. You've heard a few things like, do you know what I mean? The fucking not so good, but like, we've got some heavy people coming through now. Ben Petches Kelly making his pro debut later in the year. No, for like 19 lads.
Yeah.
Scary.
Obviously that Team Calbon as well. Like why do you reckon there's so many like top fighters coming out of Liverpool?
Calbon have always been good, haven't they? They've always had like really like.
Obviously being a scout to yourself, ain't you?
No, not really. I live a bit outside me, so I'm not technically. People will be annoyed if I said those scouts. So
to me, like the accent all sounds the same to me, but like, can you tell the difference if you're from Liverpool?
Yeah, I'm not like Paddy. Paddy's like Paddy and Molly and all them. They're like proper bad trousers, aren't you? Like really, I'm like posh. I'm posh, me really.
Yeah. So you sound pretty similar to me, but I'm just like nowhere near it, so I wouldn't.
Oh, where are you from?
North Yorkshire, mate.
North Yorkshire. That's posh.
That's all farmers around me. Anyway, you're saying about aspiring tomorrow and stuff, but is there anything specific you're focusing on in this camp for the Josh Plant fight?
I don't know, to be honest, mate. Like, obviously, he's a southpaw, isn't he? He's like a big, strong kid. Like, do you know what I mean? You can tell from his fights that he's like strong, likes to have it, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's not afraid of a fight. So
quite stocky, isn't he?
Yeah, it'll be quite strange, I think, especially because he's like he's come down from welter, obviously, isn't he? He's like, and I didn't particularly look at him. He's looking on the side as well to wait, but coming down. So not really. I'm just concentrating on myself, to be honest, because you don't even know. There's no, do you know what I mean? Like there's only so much prep you can do for other people, but you might get to it, lad, and you might not even end up fighting them. Do you know what I mean? Most times I've prepared for people, and they've not even turned up. It's just like got to work for yourself, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? So just been getting better, doing me.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few little things for him, a few little tricks for him. I have to wait and see.
Being more of a grappler yourself, is his size something you think about, or is that like a strength for?
No, never, because I'm grappling with, I'm doing my rounds with like Matt Bonner. Like you struggle to find any lightweights the size of him, like, do you know what I mean? And Ben Kelly's a big welterweight, so it's never been a concern. Obviously, I fought at welterweight myself, do you know what I mean? Grappled everyone when I was up there, so I'm not worried about his size. He's got to meet the weight, hasn't he? So it's going to be the same size as me. It's not anything you can think about as a buff. I'm not worried.
How did you get started in the sport, mate? If you don't mind me asking, like how did you get into the grappling?
Don't really know, to be honest. Do you know what the weird thing was? I had no idea. Like, obviously, no one has any idea, do they, what MMA is when you first get into it. But my brother bought that UFC 2009. Remember watching that, being like, you know, the on the game used to unlock like classic fights, you know, in the game mode.
Is that what you first heard about MMA then, playing the game?
Oh yeah, well, I had no idea what MMA was. I just thought it was called UFC. I remember watching GSP versus BJ Penn it was on that game, and I was just like, I reckon I'll be good at that. And obviously at like 14, you reckon you're going to be good, don't you? Everything. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I reckon I'd be good at that if I ever did that. And then I ended up just finding some random gym in Ainsdale by mine where.
See, that's the difference. I'd be like, oh, that looks brutal. I'm not doing that, like.
No, not me.
That'd have been me.
God, no, lad, honestly, me just think when you're 14, do you know what I mean? Full of middle of puberty, thinking, oh, yeah, I'm big and hard, mate. Yeah. I remember rocking to some gym in Ainsdale called the Dog Pit, and that's where Nathan was. Nathan Fletcher, started with him, and I met him there, and turned up and just got absolutely battered. I was just like, wow, if I ever got into a fight with someone who knew what they were doing, I'm dead. And then basically trained out of fear for the first year of getting battered.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, I'm getting all right at this. Might carry on.
out of fear of what? Out of like fear of what would happen in like a real life situation.
Yeah, thinking of if anyone who knew what they were doing here, because I remember going in like Nathan, so like it was like a lot smaller than me, and it was like a few of his mates that I knew from like footy who'd been into it and that, you know, and remember thinking, oh, I know these lads, and then just battering me and thinking, wow, like these are the killed me at. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if I ever got into a fight playing footy or something, I'd be dead. So I was like, wow, I want to start training there, otherwise I'm finished.
Yeah.
That was basically it, lad. So we just
yeah. So you just carried on from there then?
Yeah, basically carried on, and it's just fall in love with it. It's just like, wow, it's boss this. Just get to fight people every day, wrestle and fighting, and it's quality.
What do you think of the grappling when you first started that?
Do you know what? I didn't used to like it. You know, I wasn't really well into it. It was I like boxing. I thought, oh yeah, like I'm gonna be like a striker or whatever, and I liked doing that. And then we just ended up doing more and more and more wrestling, and then entered a few wrestling competitions, and then just ended up getting really good at it. Do you know what I mean? Like that ended up being my strength. Do you know what I mean? Obviously now my grappling's my strength, but yeah, I like even jits. I wasn't like well into the jits either. It was just light wrestling, and then wasn't really until I moved to next gen that I got like properly into the jits. You know what I mean? And then now just good at it, lads. You know what I mean?
When was that you moved to next gen?
Say that again. Sorry.
When was that you moved to next gen?
Oh, I was 17, so must be like 2015 or something.
Yeah.
It was just before like Cage Warriors come back. It had like a break, didn't it? And then like must have been 2014 then. No, it was 2015. They had like a big break, didn't they? And like Paddy and that, they fought on like FCC, and there was all like and then that's when I started, when Paddy fought, I think he had his first fight on FCC, and we started at next gen, me and Nathan. And then when Cage Warriors come back, that's when we were like about a year into the gym, and it was weird, you know what I mean? Like Paddy the Baddie like blowing up, didn't he? And then Chris Fishgold winning the title. It was like pretty mad, to be fair, being there, do you know what I mean? Being so young and being like, wow, I trained with them, and that could be me.
Yeah. So that, like, looking up to did you like sort of look up to those guys then? Is like you wanted to be at that level? When
you first join, you're like in awe of them, aren't you? I remember being like before having my first fights, like the pros were like gods. And we're looking, wow, they're professional fighters. They get paid to fight people. That's so cool. And like, do you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't want to do nothing, you know, like rolling jits, be like, oh, I don't want to go too hard, do you know what I mean? Because the pros, like, and all that, and just you two getting like a weird thing, and like, yeah, I don't know. I was young as well, you know what I mean? Like 17 or something. So it's strange, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? These guys fighting arenas and that, and just hope that could be me one day. And hopefully it will be.
You've obviously you've gone pro now, mate. You've
getting
got
there. Stuff like that though.
Yeah, obviously that pro debut can't have gone much better, can it really? Against Oscar Ainsworth last year.
Worked out perfectly, really, didn't it? But the year that obviously a year of COVID, wasn't it? And everyone's trying to get fights. I remember being like, must have been matched about 4 or 5 different times on shows where it's like, oh, it's definitely going to happen. This one now. This one will definitely happen. Like June, July, August, September, and you were just training like. But you can't there was no proper training though either, was it? Because of like COVID, like training on my own. Remember like we were going to Nathan's house and training in his garage and everything, just me and him. It was just like, oh, I hope I get a fight. And then I was meant to be fighting. Were you not one of them?
Sorry, were you not one of them fighters that got like the elite? Was it like elite fighters got a pass or something like that? If you're a pro fighter,
yeah, we did eventually.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a weird one because like there's no body, is there, for like pro MMA? There's no like overseeing, like you don't need a license, do you, or anything? So it's not like with the boxing, you need a boxing license so you can go, oh yeah, I'm a professional. So it was hard until I got the shout for Cage Warriors because they were obviously COVID like regulated, weren't in the government approved and all that. So you have like had to be careful that when you couldn't fully train until I got the nod and knew I was on Cage Warriors. But it was just it all happened so fast in the end. Do you know what I mean? I was on Almighty. They were gonna, they were having a show in like October, and it was getting pushed back. And eventually it got cancelled, and I was just like, right, I've got nothing else to do here. So I just said to Paul Rimmer that I'm going to train as if I'm on Cage Warriors. And if anyone pulls out, I'm going to have it. Like I was saying, I'm not asked. If they're lightweight, I'll fight them. Anyone. And he was like, all right, okay, yeah, good idea. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no, I'm boring me, mate. It's not like I'm going to have anything else to do. So it's like, fuck it, I'm just going to train.
Yeah.
Just going to train for Cage Warriors. And then fights were popping up a little bit. And I was like, ooh, seeing if I get offered them. And I didn't get offered them. It was like,
you were pretty active. You were pretty active during your amateurs, weren't you? As fighting a few times a year.
Yeah, I was at the start. I was very active, and I got a few injuries towards the end. But yeah, that was definitely the longest time. It's still uncertainty though, isn't it? It was like you just training, thinking, when's it going to open up? I'm going to be able to fight, and it just getting pushed back. It's like, oh, what am I doing here? It's just it costs so much money though as well. Like the thing, you're paying to train and paying for your food and your dieting and getting your weight down, and then, do you know what I mean, extra S&C and all, like paying for all that. Yeah. And then you're not getting to fight. It's just
must have been so frustrating, man.
It's the same for everyone though, innit? Really, I was lucky in the end, because I just stayed ready, got the shout they needed someone, and then ended up getting offered with matched up with Oscar Ainsworth. It must have been about like 11 days notice or something.
Was it?
But it was, for me, it was like all sound. Like I was training as if I was on there anyway. I was bringing like me. It was like basically doing a camp for it, but with no opponent. And then got the shout that he needed someone. Got in there, and it all worked out in the end, like it. So
yeah, when you're training for that fight, was the public in the gym at that point, or was it just?
No, it was just pros, just pros only. It was because that was all it was allowed, wasn't it? I think in December, it didn't open up in December for a little bit where you could train, but it was non-contact training.
Yeah,
so it was a bit of the pub then, but then it was most of the time it was just like you had to be a pro and like
non-contact training for MMA.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, loads of that non-contact stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange, isn't it? But hopefully now, no going back, full swing.
Yeah, hopefully that was the last lockdown. Like,
I hope so. I feel so bad for like all the other people who like trying to turn pro or like end up their amateur careers, and such a vital time to be active, isn't it? And like,
yeah,
there's no guarantees. Is there? Like, shows don't want to put shows on because you spend all that money, rent an arena and start selling tickets and not pay for rent a cage and all that, and then just gets cancelled. It's shit, isn't it? Really.
That's the thing, because like nothing seems guaranteed at the minute, does it? I feel like everything just sort of changes at like a moment's notice. No one wants to sort of take that risk, do they?
You can't plan anything at the minute, can you? Like,
no.
I know people who've been getting married and have had the date changed like 4 times. It's just like, so bad, isn't it? Like, hopefully it's just the end now, lad. Really.
Yeah. In that fight though, I mean, you took longer to go for the takedown than I expected going into there. Yeah.
It was one of them. I didn't really have like a game plan because it was short notice, and like I'd watched Oscar obviously, and I'd just been obviously at work and everything all the time. That it was just like, I'm just gonna see how the fight goes. Do you know what I mean? And just gonna play how it plays out, and then
by watching him, do you mean like watching like tapes of tapes of his fights before, like his old fights, to sort of see what he does, see what his patterns are?
On, like, what he goes for, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I do that for everyone. I don't over study, but I want to just get like a few ideas of like how they like to fight. Like that Oscar likes to stay long, and when he shoots takedowns, he often like shoots them a bit too far out. So it was a bit like wary of that, knowing that like he shoots at weird times. So it's probably better to put him on his back at some point. Do you know what I mean? And it just flowed, and then it was a weird one. You know, it was like I was so relaxed in there, like so confident, and like it's weird because you're off like when you're having your first amateur fights, and like for us it was always like, oh, we go and watch Cage Warriors and go and watch all them fighting on Cage Warriors, and it's always like, wow, this is so sick. And then when I got in there, just like I just didn't seem, I wasn't like asked, you know what I mean? Like it didn't affect me at all. Like for me, it was just like, all right, yes, sound. Like if you come in the gym, come for a spar, like I know what to smash him, so just gonna go in there and smash him, and then I did basically. So
yeah,
buzzing.
Maybe because you've got all that experience, obviously, all the fights. You're like, oh, this just leading up to that. You're like, oh, this is just what I do. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So used to it at that point. Yeah.
No different. You're doing it, but then this time it's like you can elbow and there's a camera on you, but just the same, isn't it?
Did you like that change to the pro rules?
It is. I didn't really get to use them too much, though, did I? Bit disappointed. So this time I have to bounce a few elbows off his head. Do you know what I mean? Really?
Yeah.
Chris myself as a pro.
You what, sorry?
Chris and myself as a pro, really like get myself in there, like, then I'm a pro now. Nice few elbows off his head. Be nice.
I thought sort of wondered, do you like as an amateur in like sparring and stuff, do you go by the amateur rules, or do you sort of like go by the pro rules?
I always did. Like I'd obviously, like if everyone's doing pads and that, I'd like practice a few elbows here and there, but I always tried to stick to it because I was terrified. Like I always feel like my fights a lot of time are autopilot. Like don't do a lot of thinking and just react. And I was thinking about, I drill elbows in, and you're winning an amateur fight, everyone's going sick, and you're just like, ah! Then you can imagine you get disqualified in an amateur fight for elbowing someone. So I always tried to stick to the rules, because I just thought, that should be so shit, that, wouldn't it? Having a fight in an elbow. No, sorry, lad.
But as obviously before, be more of a grappler, using like, how do you use your striking in fights? Is it more just to set up the takedown, or how do you use your striking?
It used to be, do you know what I mean? It used to, like, but now we're just like flowing. Like I'm so confident in my grappling that like I'm loose, you know what I mean, when I'm throwing shots, because like wherever it goes, I'm I'm easy. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, for me, like being on top's like being a big part of the game for a lot of years. So I'm used to that and I feel comfortable there. But just like as it's progressed, and obviously I've come from wrestling, so it's always going to be like my main route. But now I like, do you know what I mean? I just see where the fight goes. Like if I feel like I can outstrike someone, I'll strike with them. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. But yeah, striking's always going to stop your takedowns. If you don't use your striking to stop your takedowns, you're a bum anyway. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I feel like there aren't, like, for the UK, I mean, there aren't that many like sort of grapplers on the world stage, if you know what I mean. We've got obviously like Mike Grundy, who's known for his wrestling, but apart from that, I feel like a lot of the UK lads are just known for their striking.
Yeah, everyone's like scared of wrestling in the UK, aren't they? It's proper weird. Like we've got some serious high level, like Mike Grundy, like he's a sick wrestler, isn't he? Like, do you know what I mean? He's taken down Americans, and obviously he's competed internationally in that, but I don't know, everyone just thinks they're striking in this country. Like you see loads of lads who are like are grapplers and you know the grapplers and the gyms are grapplers, and then they go into fights and start striking. It's just like, it's weird. Like, people no confidence in the jits, but like if you look at the jit scene in this country, like would arguably as good as America, I'd say. Like,
Yeah.
watching them Polaris shows, but then in the UFC, people are like, "Oh no, I've got to strike." I think people are just like scared of not looking good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel
That
like
makes
even
sense.
though we've got like the big like we're doing like well for the jiu-jitsu now in this country, I feel like we don't really have that wrestling base there.
No, yeah, I think it's getting there, but the thing is with wrestling, it's just always been like there's no money in it, is it? So it's hard to
Yeah.
push, and it doesn't get like the funding that other sports do they? So like wrestling clubs can't just pop up like a footy club could, or you know, like boxing gyms, or obviously MMA gyms. Everyone knows the UFC, don't they? You say to people, "Oh, I do Olympic wrestling," they're like, "Well, what's that like? Is that like WWE?" And you're
Yeah.
just like, "No, no, it's not." So
Yeah.
it's hard, and but I think that people need to realize that like MMA, it's not Olympic wrestling, it's not collegiate wrestling. Like, look at like the likes of like Max Holloway and Jose Aldo. They've never done a collegiate wrestling match in their life, have they? And people can't take them down, and they can take people down. Do you know what I mean? It's just not like, even like Jack Shaw. Like, look at him. He's double legging everyone, isn't he? And I doubt he's ever had a wrestling match. Or if he has, he's only done British level, hasn't he? He's not one
Yeah.
of these NCAA champs like people think you need to be. And he's
Yeah.
dominating it. Just, I think people just underestimate the wrestling ability. So just like think, oh, I can never be as good as them. I don't know why, obviously. Do you know what I mean? You can
Underestimate it against sort of an American who's from that sort of college wrestling background then?
Yeah, they just give them too much respect. But like, I'm not being funny. I've never seen a cage war in a college wrestling match. It's not that, it's different, isn't it? It's not the same. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason why you can't put a collegiate wrestler like, up against the wall and take him down. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at Tyron Woodley. How many times did he get taken down in the UFC before he fought Usman? And like, you never know. Tyron Woodley could have been a better collegiate wrestler than Usman. But Usman just put him against the fence and took him down. Then he made him look like he never wrestled. That's
I'm not sure. Yeah, that was not. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened in that fight. Like, Tyron just didn't look there. I don't think in that Usman fight.
But I think it's because when Woodley's wrestled people, when Woodley's fought, people thought, "Oh, I don't want to shoot on him because he's a good wrestler."
Yeah.
So then, like, you can get like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all right when you're it's like being a boxer, no one ever throwing a punch back at you. You look boss, wouldn't you? And then next one, do you know what I mean? One time someone tried to throw a punch at you, and you're like, "Oh, hang on, I don't know what to do here." And that's basically what Woodley was like. He didn't know how to defend takedowns, did he? And Usman just schooled him. But that's it. Defense wrestling, just different game. Like Jack Shaw, it's not double legging people in the middle of the mat, is he? Put him against the fence and wrestle him. And like his last fight, I'm sure that guy was like an All-American, wasn't he? Or he'd definitely been in the NCAAs. And he absolutely teared him on the wrestling. But that's it. You've got to adapt, haven't you? If you can't beat them with straight up wrestling, grapple them against the fence.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's not something like even some of the smaller gyms as well. I feel like that don't have a cage. It's not something like, yeah, I feel like that's quite common for a lot of smaller gyms not to have a cage. It's not something you can train for as much, if you know what I mean.
No, I get it if you don't have a cage, but you definitely need matted walls. Like, it just changes everything. Wrestling against the wall is just not the same. Like, I remember joining Next Gen and thinking like, oh yeah, I've wrestled at, like, you know what I mean, a British level. Like, I was British champion. Like, it'll be easy. And I remember Ellis Hampson when he was fighting, put me up against the wall and just dumping me on my head, and I was like, wow, like, it's not the same.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty uncomfortable as well, like being against the cage. Like, people don't realize, obviously, like the links and that.
It's the bounce, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even people who just train with walls, if you're not training the cage, it makes a big difference because you get like sucked into it, and you can it's so easy. It's so hard to stop people joining the hands together. Do you know what I mean? Like, but with a wall, you can half like back into it and stop people. With a cage, it's so different. That's why in fights, I love it when people are on the cage because they just know they're going on their head.
Yeah, it's like saying as well, like saying about like it being so different. Like Khabib, he always used the cage wall, didn't he? He's obviously known for his wrestling. Yeah. Obviously known, everyone called him like the best wrestler ever and all that. But he always used the cage wall, didn't he? Which was it was never out in the middle of it was always backing people up to the cage wall.
No, he wasn't shooting double legs in the middle of the mat, was he? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Even, like, the Gaethje fight, like if they had a straight up wrestling match, you don't know, it might be a good match. Gaethje was a high level wrestler, but when the cage was involved, Gaethje was like an amateur, wasn't he? He didn't know what he was doing. Like it's a different world. It's like like people go on about like, oh, it's kickboxing, BJJ, and wrestling. Well, I'd say it's kickboxing, BJJ, wrestling, and war wrestling. It's like a completely other sport. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What did you reckon to? I think Gage said something once about. Obviously, he said coming from like a wrestling background, but he obviously doesn't use it. You know, he does all the striking, doesn't he? Like it's not being like energy efficient. What do you reckon? What do you reckon to that? Like,
It doesn't make wrestling's energy efficient.
Wouldn't like not in sort of an MMA aspect. I don't think. I think that's what he said. Something like that.
It depends whether you're a finisher, though, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of guys who wrestle and they've got no intention of finishing the fight. Like, yeah, I'd say that's not energy efficient. Like, you have to spend 15 minutes grinding to win a fight. But like, I suppose when you're striking, that only takes one shot, doesn't it? But when I'm grappling, I'm trying to finish every minute of the fight. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's only as efficient as striking, isn't it? And it's just getting efficient at it, though. That's the thing with Gaethje. He doesn't have a shooting fight, so the minute he has to wrestle in a fight, it's going to gas, isn't it? It's just not the same. You've got to be shooting all the time.
Yeah. How do you see the fight with Plant then going in a few weeks' time?
Me just smashing him basically. Like, obviously, but like, I'm not. Looking at his record, you could say, oh, do you know what I mean, and all that. But if you look at the guys he's been beat by, they're all really good guys. Like, he's not fighting bums at all.
I reckon people are talking him down then because of the losses on his record.
Yeah, I think people would do, wouldn't he? Like, you only have to, like, 2 and 4, you can be like, oh, do you know what I mean? But if you look at the guys who got beat by, like Justin Burlinson, obviously super high level. Is it Matt Figlock? Matt Figlock. Obviously, he's really good. He's 5-1 as pro.
Yeah, that was his last fight, when he Figlock.
That was his last one, and even his first pro loss was Kiefer Crosby, and obviously from a really good gym, isn't he? Like, obviously everyone knows him. He's not fighting bums, is he? He's not taking easy fights, so I'm not underestimating that. Wasn't underestimating him at all, but he's never fought me. Do you know what I mean? I'm different, and I'm going to dominate him.
Yeah. Is it a different vibe in the gym when like a few of the other lads have got fights coming up as well?
I don't know if it's a different vibe, because like, we always train hard. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really change anything for me. Like, maybe like the week out, you could like, it can get quite intense. You know what I mean? With like the last spars and that. But at the minute, we're just all enjoying training. Do you know what I mean? Just training hard every day, getting in. It's good. Do you know what I mean? Having busy matches with people who are because you all know you're peaking at the same time, aren't you? Like, for the one day, and it's pretty exciting, isn't it? People like Bonner's having his title fight. Obviously, Nathan's got a really high level fight, which is probably going to lead to the belt next, and a few other lads on the card. So it's pretty good. It's good to all be like going for the same date. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, we'll all go down together and all smash some people up together. So it'll be a good weekend.
Yeah, I think it's not this. Obviously, this you got this trilogy in London, but then the one after that, I think it's not a trilogy, but Cage Warriors have got an event, haven't they, out in the States?
Oh yeah, of course, California ways.
What do you reckon to that? Like, would you be keen to get out there, fight in the States?
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, obviously that'd be pretty cool to fight over in America. But I know when I'm in the UFC, I'll be fighting in America anyway, so I'm in no rush. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just it just shows, doesn't it, the reputation of Cage Warriors. Like, with that, how many people have they sent to the UFC? Like, it's like 100 or something, isn't it? Now it's crazy. So you can understand why they're breaking into the American market, and like the people are going to be cutting their hands off to get on it, aren't they? Because you get a Cage Warriors belt, it's like your ticket to the UFC, isn't it? So
yeah, there's definitely a fair few lads have gone up now, like from the Cage Warriors up.
Yeah, there's going to be some serious fights, I reckon, over in America. They're putting a light heavyweight belt up for, aren't they? I believe Graham Bowling did the tweet the other day that they're going to make a one. I think the main event of that show is going to be for the vacant light heavyweight belt. So probably going to get a fair few high level people trying to get in on that, aren't you? So it's good. It's good. It'll be a good test in the future. Do you know what I mean? If there's some up and comers over there in the States who want to come and fight some European lads, I'd definitely be up for that.
Yeah, Is that your goal then? Like you're saying, to get to the UFC, get all the way to the top.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. If you're not doing that, you're in the wrong sport. It's too dangerous, isn't it? Like we're gonna go and get your head punched
Like
in.
compared to other promotions, though, like Bellator, is it the UFC? Like you've got your eyes on them.
Like, obviously, Bellator is like a big promotion. It's like it's making waves, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They're getting there, but they're not the UFC, are they? Like, let's be honest. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the guys in the UFC, like everyone knows Khabib, everyone knows McGregor, and you've got like superstars, haven't you? Like they're making superstars now, like Adesanya and Usman and all that. But in Bellator, it's not the same, is it? Do you know, it doesn't have the same eyes. And
I think it's the legacy behind UFC. I think a little bit has been being the first.
Yeah. But it's still like it's still like the sport, though, isn't it? Like people still know, oh, the UFC. They don't even know what MMA is, do they? So if you're like a fight Bellator, people will be like, what?
Yeah, so many of my mates have only heard of UFC.
Of course, yeah. Are you a UFC fighter? And you're like, well, no, but like,
yeah,
no. Do you know what I mean? But when you are a UFC fighter, you can go, yeah, I am a UFC fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming and chatting to me, mate.
No, it's been good, lad.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Looking forward to seeing you fight in a few weeks' time, mate.
Nice one. Gonna be a big finish, so make sure you watch.
Will do, man. Will do. Best of luck to you.
Nice one, mate.